Yes, hello. I am James Rowland. Today it's WNR 578. It's WWE Wrestlepalooza. I'm not alone. Of a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show. It is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, hello, back at it again. Here for Wrestlepalooza and everything that entails. Very excited for this. How you doing, James?
I'm all good. I'm all good.
Good.
How was your 40th? Was it all right? Because I know that's right.
The birthday, not the age, because that is incorrect.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
went well, thank you. You cheeky
Yeah.
bugger. Thank
Oh,
you.
it's great that you're back. It's great just for that joke, anyway. Up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, and of course, honorary House of Torture member. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
Going good, going good. I respect my elder, so I will not ever do what James did. But even though I just kind of inadvertently did it, anyway. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. WrestlePalooza, let's do it.
Yeah, right there. Well, I should say before we move on as well, Monty, cast your mind back to the 5th of October, 2020, the WNR 311. It was actually Takeover 31, your very first episode. So you've just gone past 5 years of the WNR podcast, man. So well done. I don't know if well done. I don't know if I should congratulate you or say,
No, no,
man,
you should. I
well,
mean, I dealt with you for 5 years, so yeah, yeah, you should congratulate me for that. And also, I never want to think about 2020 again. So yeah, we move on.
yeah. Well, last but by no means least, and we've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside, we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're gonna play it. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind. Oh shit, to see. Never gonna give you up. Yeah, I'm gonna get this. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Come on, everybody, help me out. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Yeah. Never gonna give you up. Yeah. Go, Gina. Oh, Gina. Let's go, Gina. Yeah. Hi, Gina. I'm glad you're back. I don't know if you can tell.
Hi. I mean, I did join in off mic, but I'm
Hmm.
not letting the poor people of this pod hear my singing. So I was with you in spirit.
That's fine. It's fine. I'm not glad. I hope you're okay. Like I said, I'm so glad you're back. And I heard it was your birth. I assumed you were different ages too, Jaxie. I mean,
Yeah,
'cause
I'm the
obviously
younger
you're much
one,
younger.
you know,
Yeah,
I'm much
yeah,
younger than that. So
yeah. Mm.
no, it was a lovely birthday, very drunken as expected. So all great.
Yeah, well, we have a big WWE catch up today, of course, with WrestlePalooza, but let's get started with the Raw and SmackDown notes. I've not dated these Raw, so God knows where these from, but apparently Joe Tessitore is back, so we're just going to go with this, all right? Wade is on holiday. He's not banished because of Nikki Bella. Uso started the show, followed by the Bronze, and of course, the tag match was made for the PLE. LA Knight helped the Usos, but nearly hit Jay. He did get Bronson Reed in the main event. Backstage, Yost told Jimmy that he's not worried about LA Knight or fending off the Vision, which Jimmy said just sounded like Roman. And Jason, maybe that's not a bad thing. Now, Knight, for himself, allowed himself to be distracted late, and Reed made him pay, scoring the victory for the Vision. They beat him down with the Usos helping out, and then Jey Uso hit LA Knight with the super kick, which drew boos from the crowd. And Jaxie, it's a long way away for me to start saying this, but again, a lot of shit's been on Jey Uso, about being one dimensional to the eat chance, and he's like an onion at this moment in time. Do you know what I mean? We're seeing different layers right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is like the best sort of work that Jay's been doing sort of as a solo in terms of, openly uh changing up his persona, like his way of thinking, like he is adapting. And I think it might have been yourself or Monty who brought this up a few pods ago, just in regards to sort of like Jay Jay's mentality and like accepting that the good guy doesn't always like win, or the good guy isn't always the one coming out on top. And we're slowly starting to see sort of like a breakdown um between the Usos as a result. because that they're at this moment in time, they both are seen as sort of like the faces of the at the moment. But it's not all coming together. The Usos are on different wavelengths, and their communication isn't up to scratch right now. So it's a bit of a weird place for Jay to be, but it's a great one for like kind of showcasing like the versatility of him, like changing, branching out, and just seeing where things will go. So I'm very intrigued to see like kind of what's in store for Jay at this moment in time.
Yeah, without a doubt. Elsewhere, AJ Styles said no one is watching his back. It's like someone is stopping him from being successful. Someone doesn't want him here. It was interesting comments at the time, but didn't really lead to anything. Dragon Lee helped AJ get a win over El Grande. Stephanie Vaquer wasn't there to sign a contract. Oscar doesn't respect Nikki Bella. Raquel beat Lyra in a great match. Rusev beat Penta thanks to the New Jay. And AJ Lee returned to Raw after a decade. Of course, with welcome back chance. It was a great promo. I mean, Monty, we talked about AJ Lee, her impact on the business, but for her to to come back in front of the crowd to get the chant after that match, even chanted therapy, so again there was a kind of a lot going on there, and then of course the challenge for WrestlePalooza as well. What did you think? I don't know if you can remember the segment even, or just like the setup, and what your thoughts kind of AJ Lee as well.
She's a legend, absolute legend. I think this is one of the situations where the fans and everybody knows that we're kind of just lucky in a sense because she was one of the few who for a decade held true. A few wrestlers who for a decade held true and just didn't really have any signs that she would ever be back. I think when Punk returned, that opened a lot of people to the possibility because you just hope that if Punk could like let bygone be bygone, that maybe he could convince her to come back. And I don't know how much influence he had on this. I know from a storyline perspective, it makes perfect sense. But for her to go through everything she went through outside of the ring and just you know like she mentioned, becoming a better version of herself mentally to get to this point to return, to feel like she could return to the business that she gave her a lot of herself to. And at the time that she was in wrestling, it wasn't really giving itself back to the way it gives back to women or has the way it is now. And I think for somebody like AJ Lee, and same thing even like for Nikki Bella and any legend, Trish Stratus who come back every now and then, any woman of the past who was in that business when matches got cut short or when you were lucky to get 5 minutes for your segment, and when they before they were even giving women merch and all of that, I mentioned the last time we kind of talked about this that AJ Lee was one of the first women to just have merch made for her. Like I know a lot of people know like the Nikki Bella Fearless stuff and all of that, but it wasn't any of that until the AJ Lee trailblazed and did everything she did. So I can only imagine what that was like mentally and what that was like on a lot of the women who may have wanted to achieve what the guys were achieving. And now we are in that era where, in my opinion, like I mentioned before, that if you well, you'll see as we break down this show, a lot of the best storytelling, best matches, and a lot of everything, whether we're talking about AEW, WWE, with any promotion that has a women's division, the women's division is the important part, and most of the time so far, especially this year in WWE, best part of the show. So I think just from that perspective is awesome. And then, like you said, a lot of stuff she touched on and being so honest, but then still being able to be who she was because she was always an excellent character. So when Becky shows up and they do their back and forth, that kind of setup, and then using self ego to get the match, like all of it was excellent and just well done, and it made a lot of sense. And I think I love the threat that she seems to be too, because it's like it's a lot of people. Even she kind of touched on. There's a lot of kids in the audience, a lot of people who may be chanting, may be happy to see her, but outside of knowing she's Punk's wife, don't know a thing about AJ Lee. So I thought Becky Lynch did a good job. Seth did too, of kind of selling, especially when she first showed up on SmackDown. But even in this promo, they did a good job of selling and putting over the thread and who she really and like the legend that she is just by their reactions. And I think that helped the angle going forward too. So I think everything about this was really well done, and I just think that honestly, I just feel spoiled in the sense that we get a chance to get AJ Lee back in the ring and doing anything in the business. Like she signed a full time contract. You couldn't like I don't know a few years back or whatever. I definitely gave up on the hope. The same way I kind of gave up on Punk ever being in WWE again. I definitely gave up on AJ coming back. So I think this is kind of cool that she gets to put a bow on her career in a different way because I think she had already done enough, but like coming back in this era and getting the many possibilities for future opponents and angles, I think is really exciting going forward because there's a lot of little mini AJ Lees, the Liv Morgans, the Roxanne Perez obviously, and many more who borrowed and talked about how they looked up to AJ Lee coming. I mean, Zelina, who actually played her in like that movie that they made about Paige, right? So like so many people
Yeah.
who just look up to AJ Lee, and so I think this is really cool to see her in this era of her career. She's in fantastic shape, so I just thought this was great.
Yeah, it really was. On to SmackDown, Vic Joseph, Booker T made me think I had NXT on. If it not for the blues surrounding the ring, I was like, no, this is all right. Brock started the show before he could say anything. Our Truth came out. He was there to protect his big brother, John. He said Super Cena is coming for him, but not tonight as Brock hit an F5 on Truth and split his dreams. Ray Phoenix accepted Sami Zayn's US Open Challenge, and the crowd loved it. Sami retained in a really good match. And we should also mention Andrade is gone. Gina, I've never given you a lot of information there. But again, what with the ripped trousers and everything out and Sammy's total defense, but Andrade being gone as well, was that a surprise when you heard the news?
Can we just say that Brock's trouser rip was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen on WWE TV. But yeah, the Andrade thing, I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. I don't want to link it to Charlotte, but it's hard not to, especially when it was recently announced of their split, etc. Um, yeah, I'm just not surprised here. I wish him the best. It's gutting because Andrade is such a great wrestler, and it's a shame that he's no longer going to be around again in WWE TV. I remember being disappointed when he first left WWE. So, to get him back and then lose him within such a short span is kind of like, is it better for him because was he really being utilized? Because I don't think he was, but then it was great to have him back at the same time. So it was kind of a catch-22.
Well, because there was a story about he was wanted tag titles. He was like, no, that's not good enough. But again, what's surprising is that he popped up in AEW again. Do you know what I mean? Because we were like,
That,
oh,
yeah,
right, fuck.
that really was surprising because of how quickly he left AEW and went to WWE. I didn't realize that they would be like, oh yeah, come on back. you know.
He also
Come
failed
on.
wellness three
Yeah.
times, so like
Yeah, it's just a
so
crazy time right now for wrestling contracts.
like modern day wrestlers failing the wellness policy. Yeah, you don't hear about that often. So that's the main reason why I think WWE let him go. But who knows? Who knows what he was doing? He probably did it on purpose to get out of there. You never know. You never know at this point.
We see Michin attacking Julia and Kiana James to say BFAB in the shortest segment of SmackDown again. And then the women's title was on the line as Jade Cargill faced Tiffany Stratton. These two are either really good or a bit off, and this was both, but better than a SummerSlam match. It ended in a DQ with Nia Jax attacking them. And Jaxie, again, this SmackDown division, the women's division especially, is very repetitive because Tiffany Stratton can't seem to move away from Nia Jax. And also, we talk about the US title, how short it is on the card as well each time.
Yeah, it's weird because in certain areas of the women's division it's quite strong, but then there's also a disarray, like in terms of like consistency and booking. And it's like I'm not really too sure what they're expecting to kind of take place, or what they expect their audience's reaction to be to things when we're not getting Tiffany in any other sort of opponent facing matches other than Nia Jax and Jade at this point. Little to no storyline, and really just kind of not being present within her own, sort of show, and sort of like more of a focus on other wrestlers, but them not being pushed towards her. I Is also kind of the same with Julia. I don't know what they're doing because she could be so strong, but I just don't get this pairing with Kiana James. It doesn't work for me. I don't think that they've got any chemistry, and I also don't think Julia needs Kiana. I think if anything, Kiana's like a weakness for her at this point, but also just been paired with her to protect her. But then, like the matches that Julia is being given is not being given long enough for anyone to really see what Julia can do. And I have to dabble in and out of NXT, but during some of the moments that Julia had on NXT was some of the most standout moments because of how good she is. But I have just not seen that Julia up here on the roster at this point. And she's supposed to be a champion too. So right now they're just really not showcasing their champions well. Just all the opponents.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. In the main event, Drew McIntyre easily beat Randy Orton. Cody returned and took out Drew, then gave him a title match. On the Raw Go Home in Massachusetts for the final time, it's Springfield, not Boston. It was John Cena. Apparently, Washington outbid Boston through his last show. And Monty, that's what we love. You know what I mean? Don't take it to the heart. It's where the money lies now, you know?
I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Are we shocked?
No.
Who got outbid for the next WrestleMania? Everybody.
We should worry when Russia has WrestleMania in a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? That's when we start panicking. Anyway, he talks about
don't count them out. They got enough money for.
he talks about Springfield College. His friends and teammates are there as well as his family. We got fuck you Lesnar chance. He said his fights. He battles in the middle of the ring. He said jorts are stronger than jeans, which again is a great line. But again, it was nice to see John Cena, Monty. We haven't got many now. You know, what is it? Maybe 4 or 5 appearances. And again, this is classed as an appearance, which again didn't tell us at the start, did they? Like a promo.
Yeah, I mean, I figured everything wouldn't be a match, even though you would like them to make the most of it. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta kind of, like you said, you just kind of every time he's on the TV screen, from now on, you just kind of gotta try not to take it for granted and hope that they make the most of it. But I don't know. I mean, at this point, whatever. I think we're so close to the end now. I wish they just let John book the rest of it. Like, just do what do you want to do, John? Like, that's what I would hope. And not because I think like we spent enough time trying what they want to try, and we see that they don't have not to say that it hasn't been highlights, but we know what a bulk of this time has been spent on and is already wasted away. So for the next few days, it'll just be nice to just, you know what, this is Cena's choice. Cena chose to fight this person this week. Or Cena want to do this that week. You know what I mean? So that's what I would like to see. But we at the end here, man. So it's kind of a shame when you think about all the time that we kind of wasted, and when you think about where we were going. And I think at the end of the day, that's one thing that no matter what he does going forward, now it's on his resume. The same way everybody, it's certain, like, we look back and we be like, why the hell did Vince book? I think who was it Mae Young to have to have a hand? We're gonna always look back and be like,
no, I don't think it's that. I don't think
like,
it's that bad.
it's not that bad. I'm not saying
I
it's that
understand
bad,
what you're
but
saying.
that's on his
It will be a
resume.
moment in time.
And
but
now we're
yeah,
gonna look back and be like, everybody want to talk about the good stuff Triple H's book. We're gonna be like, Triple H wasted John Cena's retirement tour.
They should combine the two gimmicks and have Mark Henry show up, literally, like with a pink jacket and the hand. That's what we want. Anyway, LA Knight confronted Jey Uso. Pierce made a tag main event, believe it or not, with a bronze versus LA Knight and his partner Jimmy Uso. Reed got the pin over Jimmy, and Jay saved them, with Knight getting his seat on Uso with a BFT. I like that because it didn't make LA Knight look like too much of an idiot. Lyra beat Rox. Bailey returned to fend off the Judgment Day, and apparently the Hugger is back. But backstage, Lyra overheard a shouting match involving Bailey, only to walk in on a role model in a locker room by herself, now sporting a half black, half white shirt. She unloaded verbally on her former friend, leaving Lyra aghast. And Gina, we wonder what Bailey would be like when she comes back. It looks like it's going to be every character she's ever played.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily hate it, but I don't necessarily love it, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know. I think I don't want Hugger Bailey back. I don't think that persona needs to come back. Um, but I will admit that I did love a heel Bailey, so I was kind of hoping for that heel type Bailey to come back. But it kind of seems like we're getting cray cray Bailey, you know. So I'm intrigued to see where she goes with it, because I do like how Bailey rocks. So we'll see if she can, like, you know, keep that character consistent and keep the crowd interested, I guess. But I'm also a little bit confused with where she wants to take this, because this was kind of giving me, you know, Nikki Cross vibes when she was starting to vibe out before merging into the Wyatt Six character, you know. And again, that was cool for me. Like, it was typically Nikki Fox to be losing her shit, you know. But I don't want Bailey's character to seem to be doing the same thing. So yeah, we'll see how she rocks it, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see if Lyra can't piss her off. You know, a bit like Jaxie, isn't it? Really, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, we just don't know which one we're gonna get every week. You know, it's fun. Punk
Uh-huh.
age. Punk, AJ Lee, and Seth Rollins. Becky Lynch faced off. Rollins tried to plant the seeds of tension, telling Lee of her husband he has a habit of leaving when things let him down. Yeah, but not her. That was the whole point of this, wasn't it? Anyway, Rollins left and Becky Lynch re-entered the ring, delivered a manhandle slam to Lee and slapped Punk to wrap up the segment. Lynch looked quite cool here. Yeah, El Grandes beat Dragon Lee. Balor was not happy about Dom and Americano's relationship. Dom's got bigger problems. Rusev is coming for him. Jaxie, has there ever been a group that's just kind of floated along like the Judgment Day? Do you know what I mean?
Um,
Like, how many times has it?
yeah, it's like, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Right now, like, they're doing great work still. But like, at the same time, whenever they turn up on Raw, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot they were champions. You know, it's kind of like uh, they're kind of like slippery little fuckers right now, aren't they? In terms of like holding all of the gold, but also kind of like forgetting who they're feuding with, or whether or not it's with each other that they're feuding with or not. And you know, they just think they feel like the type of group that have like 99 problems and they all don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, like, yeah, Finn doesn't realise if he's annoyed with Dom or not. Like I said, it
Yeah,
just depends
exactly.
what the
Like, Dom
situation.
doesn't get a second to breathe. Every time he manages to like successfully you know uh cheat and keep hold of his title, he's got some next big guy on his way that he's got to deal with, you know.
Yeah, we'll move on. Stephanie Vaquer, who looked pretty healthy to me, beat Kairi Sane in a fun match. And then the final SmackDown, Brock Lesnar was scheduled for an interview. Brock decided to carry Cole around and then F5 Grays. He faced off with Paul Heyman backstage and said they need to talk. And so Miz joined as color commentator as well. Yeah, it was all right, I suppose. Charlotte and Bliss defending against Alba Fyre and Chelsea Green. B-Fab tried to get the Profits together. Bo said he's there for Dawkins. And Rowan was there as well, looking them on. And, you know, I'm just not sure about that. Fraxin were beaten up by the Bronze. Always good to see. Heyman had a few words to Axiom and Fraser responded, which led to a tag match, which the Vision won. Monty, do you remember when we were loving Fraxi matches every week and now we kind of get one a month now? God damn it. Should have stayed in NXT.
Hey man, that's what happened when your booker despises tag team wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me about it. Horrible. Nia Jax had a go at Cargill's wrestling ability. Tiffany Stratton arrived. There was good news, bad news for Mello. He put up a good fight versus Sami Zayn for the US title, but lost to the Blue Thunderbomb, which again, I'm not sure signature. I know Zayn's been doing it recently, but he's hitting a Luva kick beforehand. Tongaloa Love Solo, which is all good. Drew and Cody signed a contract for the PLE. McIntyre called back to him and Roman's contract signing. Rose reminded McIntyre that they won the tag titles 15 years ago on the exact date. But no one's talking about it because the world doesn't revolve around them. What? The Scottish Warrior eventually
Yeah, I
attacked
remember that anyway.
Nightmare. Well, yeah, exactly. Even I, Drew McIntyre fan, was like, "Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, back in the day." And was about to kick it for the announce table, but changed his mind and said he's going to take what means the most to Rhodes, and take it away. I mean, Monty, has there ever been a title match that just, do you know what I mean? I love Drew McIntyre, but man, there was like a weak build to this, as in a weak build as well.
Yeah, man. I've never seen two guys that I think deserve to be in a spot, but just feel like it don't matter. Like that's that's the thing I'll say about it. It's like I do think obviously Cody is the guy, and I do think Drew is a worthy contender, but I don't think no one here entertains Drew, and maybe that comes from Drew being a good heel, but not necessarily winning a lot. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that got something to do with it. But they tried. I think they hoped people cared about them. Maybe like you said, but like you just mentioned, you're a diehard Drew fan, and I've been here from the beginning of Cody too. And it's just like still, it's like okay, whatever. I think the match will be fine, but I think everybody I talked to who talked about this feud is like we're in the same boat as where it's like, yeah, I think they have an okay match, but it's whatever, and that's not necessarily where you want to be when you're doing a world title feud.
No, you don't. But now it's time, September 20th, and before the main show, it's a 2-hour Road 2 on ESPN before the 2-hour countdown on WWE featuring TJ Jefferson and O'Shea Jackson Jr. with a small crowd. And I was thinking, we could do this. Like, should we do this? Who do I contact? Like, is it ESPN directly or whatever it is? Like, I don't mind being taken out there and just chatting shit for a couple hours. I mean, I do it anyway, you know. Pete Rosenberg joined, which I wouldn't allow, and then the Miz joined because they dumped Pete, and they mentioned Drew, Randy, and the ropes. But of course, Drew slamming Randy on it, which wasn't a problem. Also, Miz getting kicked out of the locker room. Michael Cole joined, and then I zoned out. And we were going to go on to the 2-hour countdown, which was Cole, Wade, and Big E with Tyrese Halliburton. And he's a download content on 2K. So he must be important. I don't know who he is, but he must be if he's like a playable character. I don't know. Jackie, Kathy, and the rest of the crew was there. Adam Pearce announced that LA Knight was going to be the special referee for the Usos versus the Bronze. And Gina, do you know what I was most surprised about? It was actually like some breaking news on the kickoff. Like, that was important for the show for LA Knight to be special referee, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when it kind of made no sense to make him a special referee, only other than the fact that you wanted him involved in the show in some way. Um, and it's not like he's come back from an injury or it has come back for a special one-off referee match. Like he's a regular that shows up on the weekly shows. So no offense, LA Knight, but this is not exactly like, oh wow, you know. So it's like okay.
Yeah, and another negative was a lot of talk about sports stars because obviously they were trying to say like WWE is mainstream now coming to ESPN, and Wade did shout out Preston North End, so fair play to him. We got to sit down with Drew, talk about the title. He is what he has to earn. Miz joined, seeing as he did a good job earlier. Triple H joined the panel. Michael Cole said this is all because of him. Just him, you know. Joe Tess explained what WWE is to new fans. You know, I get it, but Jaxie, how many non-wrestling fans would actually pay for like whatever the fucking subscription price is if you've never seen it before? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand it.
I mean, sometimes I actually just do think to myself, do they genuinely think at this point that those currently watching need this explanation? Like, there's anyone like watching right now that's like, oh, I'm glad they cleared that up. You know,
That's what
like,
wrestling is.
yeah, like I didn't know that. You know, so come on.
Oh well, Triple H said WWE is the top of the mountain. All right. Stephanie Vaquer was interviewed. She says she's nervous, but she's going to make history. And Stephanie McMahon joined the panel for some reason. I mean, it wasn't the biggest crowd for the panel in the wind, bless them. We got a nice video on WWE with ESPN by Michael Cole. It didn't mean shit to me, but I mean, Monty, did it mean anything to you? Bring back childhood memories? You sitting there watching Sports Center and ESPN. I don't think it will.
Sportsman has been so irrelevant that I mean for so long now. I mean, yeah, I guess growing up, I love. I mean, ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports. I don't say that they are now because I mean, there's plenty of better places to consume your sports content these days. But growing up, sure, yeah, 100%. I think. Think of it this way. WWE was never talked about on ESPN. They still really aren't, but I think they look at this as a big crown achievement, the same way UFC did when they got on it. Even though UFC is a much younger sport and got on here a lot faster, but don't let WWE find that out. Even though I'm sure they know that it's the same ownership thing, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I get why they doing this. I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure somebody was affected by it. I'm probably not the best one to ask because my time with ESPN was when I was in high school, and that's a long time ago these days. So, or high school, middle school, like that's how long it's been since Sports Center has been relevant to me. But ESPN is a big deal, especially in America. The worldwide leader in sports, so they say. So, I get why WWE is trying to make it a bigger deal. And to be honest with you, let's cut the crap. You know how much money ESPN paid for this? Like that's really what it is. It's like, hey, they gave us a lot of money, so we're gonna talk about them like they're the end all be all. Because guess the problem is, I think I'm just too jaded. I think someone really cared about this and probably was really emotional about it. I'm sure they were because longtime fans, like I said, we remember when you were just made fun of. You're crazy. They would, especially when the Attitude Era, when WWE was at its most popular, ESPN wanted nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? So, and there's reasons for that. But yeah, like they were, WWE was always looked at that way. So I kind of understand it from that point of view. But I'm jaded because I know for a fact that if Peacock renewed for the same amount of money, they would be trying to tell me Peacock is the greatest place ever. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I know how this game works, so that's why I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, yeah, whoever is funding this is the biggest and best place ever because they're funding this. That's the truth of the matter. But yes, ESPN has a rich American television history.
Yeah, well, you're the only American, so we don't fucking know, I mean, we had Grandstand, old Des Lynam and stuff like that, which, they just don't do stuff like that anymore. Anyway, if it's like the Fox deal, it won't mean nothing in a few months anyway, will it? So, hey ho. Joe Tess said he's been into mainstream sports before, and now he's coming to wrestling. Bless you, Joe Tess. Can the mainstream help? Do we care? On to the main show. We got a new opening crawl. Oh, that was nice. I mean, Gina, were you excited about the opening crawl? Did you, were you asking questions like, oh, look how pretty the opening crawl is?
Nope.
Well, that's 5 minutes of my stuff wasted then. We had the standard superstar arrivals, ESPN video that I saw on kickoff, but with added pyro. I mean, fucking Jesus Christ, Triple H. Does the cunt have to start every show? Apparently, this is the final form of sports entertainment now. That's quite interesting. And this was the same time that Fletcher was facing Hangman. And not since TNA decided to go head-to-head have we had this. I mean, that is credit to AEW. Still no wrestling on the PLE as Pat McAfee joined commentary, but not for the whole show. But Gina, again, it was nice to see Pat, wasn't it? Good old Pat. And Cole was, of course, creaming.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's always nice to see Pat, but seriously, like the crowd screams for Pat when he comes out. Michael Cole might scream louder though.
I know they're in Indianapolis and that's his hometown and wherever it is, but I'm starting to think they are enjoying themselves more than we are, which can be a problem after a little while. But Brock Lesnar's music hit, and we were finally going to get some wrestling, or so we thought. Paul Heyman was there to introduce Brock. Cole was, of course, shitting himself, and John Cena made his entrance to a thunderous pop from the crowd. John couldn't be more of a babyface, arriving with a group of kids dressed as him. It wouldn't have worked for any other wrestler. Imagine Randy Orton coming out with 100 kids. Has not got the same effect, has it, you know? Anyway, as for the matchup, shoulder thrust, Irish whip into the corner, power slam, couple of German suplexes. Cena chatted during a bear hug. John went for the AA but got clotheslined. John did hit 3 AAs, but it wasn't enough. Brock hit 6 F5s and got the win. Brock hit an F5 on the ref and a final one on Cena. And there are 4 more appearances for John Cena left. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this fun opener?
I think it's safe to say that this yet again is not one of my favorite matches of John's, and not what I would have pictured to be sort of like done the way it was done. Like, you know, with only a few matches left, this wouldn't have been like one that I would have done without more build up. Like, I still don't understand why Brock just came in and picked a fight in the first place. And this you say, I know you sarcastically said, you know, like, this is a great fun opener, wasn't it? But it just, like, it didn't do anything for me, like, and I just don't really I just don't like Brock. So this match, I knew wouldn't do much for John in his favor, and it was just there, in my opinion. 6 FUs was just overkill. It's like, all right, we get your point. You're still fucking bully Brock. Like, no one asked for you here. So, yeah, if anything, the match just made me more pissed off with just seeing Brock on TV.
Mm. Well, Monty, this is the question I'll ask you as well. I mean, how is Brock still getting cheers? I mean, even like in kayfabe, as in like he was great in 02 and 2003, and I agree with anybody before he became kind of this, and then this was terrible. I mean, you can't blame the old man now. It's not like he was having legendary matches with, do you know what I mean, during that run when he was Universal Champion and anything like this. Is it the UFC thing? What? Why are people still cheering him? I just don't get it.
Why the hell? Why would you ask me
I
that?
don't
First
know.
off,
Maybe you know. You're American. Maybe the
why would
Americans
you ask
like
me
him.
that?
Maybe he's got an American flag on him or something. I don't know.
He's a
You know
big
you
white
guys, I
boy.
know.
Of course they like him. Big, strong white boy. Yeah, they like a big, strong white boy dressed like a cowboy who lives on a ranch. Yes, especially in this current day in America, they love him. Just based off that, if you want me to say that. Other than that, I don't know. I got no explanation for why people care for him other than the makeup of your average person from Indiana. You know, I mean, they ain't got nothing else to do. Indianapolis may look like a nice place if you're going from their stadium, but they don't got much else to do there. So Brock is one of the best looking, biggest superstars that they get to get around now. You know, Pat McAfee is probably the most popular person of Indiana natives at this point. So like, they don't got a lot. If you want me to shit on them like that, but other than that, no.
No,
I
no, I
don't
didn't.
really got I don't have a good explanation for the cheers or anything, but I'm not surprised. I mean, they right after the initial scandal, they cheered the old man. So if you think they're gonna have, if you think WWE fans or people who pay to go to these shows are gonna have some moral standing because of who Brock is or Brock's accusations, then you're wrong there. So that can't be too much of a surprise. But as far as what he's been doing on television and like cheering them. I just think, like you mentioned, James, is like, you know, even like you said, even as somebody else who appreciated Brock from the early days and the next big thing and all that, and I didn't really care for a big chunk of the run, like of his dominant run post beating the Undertaker or whatever. But you know, I'm not gonna act like it wasn't some entertaining moments. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't really understand. Like you said, kayfabe wise, I don't know why they're cheering it all. And then outside of kayfabe and what we're actually getting from a wrestler standpoint, and in this situation, in this match itself, I damn sure don't understand why or what we were doing because I don't understand the thought process of why they felt like this is something that we needed to see. I was
Yeah.
perfectly fine with the last time these two guys even touched each other in a one-on-one setting being when Brock destroyed him in SummerSlam. Now that one was shocking. That one was fine. You know, even if the
Exactly.
match was
Exactly.
yeah, even if that match was a straight up beat down, I'll take that, and that could have been the last time they ever fought. Like we got the point across that Cena is not on that man's level, and that is what it is. Now if they were gonna do this and actually try to hit on some greatest hits, have like a version of that match that they had when Brock very first came back in 2012, then sure. But Brock is not that guy. He hasn't been that guy in a long time. He's not gonna give you that. You know what I mean? He gave you versions of that in his matches with Roman and stuff like that, but he's not that guy consistently. He hasn't been that guy, and so I think you're asking a lot in my estimation from Brock quality wise. If you thought we was gonna get something great here, but I was hoping, not hope that it was gonna at least have some value. Like once you get this match and you get here, not only was nobody in their right mind asking for it, nobody in their right mind can sit back and be like, "Oh, this was great." Just
Yeah.
watching the match. No, it was a shit match. It did nothing. It was a waste of a John Cena appearance. I'd rather him fight a nobody who he makes a star than watch him just whatever this was for the even if it is a guy like Brock. But why Brock still gets the love he gets, maybe and maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's something that we're all missing. I'm not trying to act like it's not something that's badass about Brock, but I don't know what's so badass about Brock that I feel like we need to see him.
Yeah. Well, even that style of match again, because strong style and stuff like that. But there's a difference if I want to watch like UFC or like a kind of a knockout, then I'll watch that. I want to watch wrestling. I want to watch wrestling, and this kind of
And
Brock Lesnar kind of character that's. We saw the red marks on Cena, so it's not like he's holding. You know what I mean? Like he's still kind of being rough and stuff like this. There was a sign that said he shouldn't be here, and you know why. But Gina, again, the kids were crying, but Cena did leave without assistance with "Thank you, Cena" chants, and I did feel a bit sorry for John, but it was like he can't, he's a company man, I suppose, the ultimate company man.
Yeah, but with again, this kind of just ties into people cutting out his final year here because of the way they started it. I think had they not started it the way they did, maybe it wouldn't have gone down as sour as it has. But I think because of like the flip up of it, it's thrown people off, And for me, I wouldn't exactly say it's the best retirement year someone would have. Now, if you ask me, like, have there been decent matches in this year? Yes, for John, there have been. But he could have had a whole year of that same consistency, and they've kind of flopped it in my eyes. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I do feel sorry for the kids crying, but I also don't feel sorry for them because when Brock's around, anyone's gonna cry.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel sorry for I feel sorry for the kids crying. Then the parents point at them and they go, "Ah, you're on video. Look, you're crying." But again, it's an emotional sport. Anyway, scores out of 5. Jaxie, what would you give it?
3.
3, Monty.
ooh,
2. Gina.
Um, yeah, like a 2 and 3/4.
2 and 3 quarters. I'll go 3 predictions for the WNR Prediction League 2025. This is after All Out and before WrestlePalooza, the bonus league. Monty on 18, Jaxie on 16, I'm on 15, Gina on 12, WWE Monty on 8, Jaxie Gina on 6, James on 4, and AW Monty on 4, Gina on 2, Jaxie and James on 1. With this one, we all went Cena, so we're all on 0. LA Knight was the special ref for the next match. The reunited Usos told everyone to use their phones to try and recreate France. They faced off with the bronze of Breaker and Reed. The Hills dominated early on, weathering a brief onslaught from the Twins and isolating Jimmy, capitalising on what Knight had admitted during the pre-show about relaxed rules introduced into this match. Jimmy, though, turned it against them, dropping Reed face first into a steel chair. Babyface could not capitalize as Breaker broke up a hot tag, retained the advantage for the team. Jimmy finally made it to his brother, and Jay exploded, taking the fight to both heels and injecting some much needed life into the match. The Babyface introduced a table, but the heels set it up to utilize a few double super kicks, led to the 1D, but Reed broke up the pin. Jaxie broke down. Jimmy delivered a swanton bomb to Reed. Breaker speared him, and Jay delivered one of his own, followed by the Uso splash for a dramatic 2 count. The tension between Jay and Nightlow continued to mount, halting the babyface's momentum. Breaker took advantage, delivering a double spear that drove both Usos through the table. A tsunami to Jay earned the Hills a victory. We should also say Jay fucked himself up with a chair coming back on him, and Monty again. It's usually weird things in wrestling that cause the most damage. You know what I mean? Such an innocuous kind of look really fucking busted them open. But what are your thoughts on the match as well?
Yeah, I mean it's just unfortunate. It's an unfortunate thing. I mean these things happen. You can't really shout out to them to keep for like, audibly and doing what they had to do. I don't know. Uh, it had its sloppy moments, but I did think it was okay. It was fine. Division have a formula, so I'm kind of used to these. I think the problem I got with it is that since we've seen so many of these type of tags, you end up in a situation where if it really wasn't for the Usos entrance, you could cut off a couple minutes, and I felt like this was just like a SmackDown. I mean, a Raw main event type of deal,
Mm.
even if it was the Usos getting back together. So I don't know. I thought it was okay. Thought the match picked up. I thought it was unfortunate, like I said, that Jay kind of hurt himself and got kind of concussed. I mean, even the way it happened, you can just like those things don't happen often, like freak accident type of deal. But they picked it up. They did what they had to do, and I think they did a good job as the Browns seemed to be pushing their way. Based on the Bronson Reed interview, they pushed their way towards tag team uh, title. They're going to be going for the tag team titles in the future. At least that's
Mm.
what I think Bronson Reed said. So a big win like this over the Usos can definitely be a feather in the cap, even if it came with the weird ending there. I don't know about. I kind of agree with what was said earlier about LA Knight pretty much being here just to be here. But once he was here, I think they kind of guaranteed that we was gonna have some type of safeguard for the Usos to win, even though I don't think he really got involved. And so, and since he didn't really get a chance to even make an impact, in my opinion, I gotta kind of take points away because if in my opinion, you're gonna give me a special referee, then they gotta have at least a reason to be there. And like other than that funny part, funny moment where he was like, you know what, go ahead and hit. I think Brunson, whoever it was, he was just let him, yeah, go ahead and hit the guy. Do your thing with the web. I'm like, all right, that was cool. But other than that, he didn't necessarily need to be there. But I get it. They want to at least include him on the show. So
Mm.
I thought this was okay.
Yeah, and again, Gina and Monty made some good points there. It felt weird with the Usos being reunited after so long. It didn't feel like a bigger deal. Do you know what I mean? Again, it just felt like a Raw match, and I don't know if that was just because of what we've seen after WrestlePalooza or because it was after Cena and Brock as well.
Yeah, I suppose it could be a mixture of both, the sort of deflation of the match that you just came out of. And then, yeah, I do agree that I feel like this match definitely felt more like a weekly show match than an actual pay-per-view match. If you did want to make a bigger deal out of the fact that the Usos are tagging together again, which we haven't seen in a long time, then it probably would have felt like a bigger deal had they both been on the same page. But at this point in time, they haven't both been on the same page, even though they're back together, and they're not feuding with each other anymore. Great, but they're also not on the same page with each other. So it kind of, even though LA Knight was looking away and giving the Usos a bit more leeway to do whatever they wanted to the division or the bronze, whatever, it still felt like there still wasn't, continuity between the Usos. So I think that's another reason why it just felt more like a meh match rather than a pay-per-view type worthy match.
Mm.
Um, it did feel a little disappointing, especially when you look back or go back and watch the match a second time, because there is so much that they can do with both of these tag teams, and there's lots that they just didn't do because they probably either didn't have time to plan it, or not much effort was put into this tag match.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And Jax, I just want to ask you what your thoughts on the two bronze, because obviously part of a vision, but I mean they obviously got potential and stuff like this. But is it
Yeah.
clicking as a tag team? Like, are we excited to see him? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it working?
Do you know what? I think them as individuals are working. I think that their marketing at the moment as individuals do work, but it's difficult because then neither of them are much like talkers, much for themselves. So like tag team wise, yeah, they're there, but like I don't really look at them as like a legitimate tag team. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
it's like I just see them as two individuals that aid each other more than like seeing them as a legitimate tag team. Whether or not that kind of like changes up, I don't know, like kind of going forward what future creatives plans have for them and stuff. But I have similar views basically to kind of both of what Monty and my sister have said about this match. This would have been a decent enough like Smackdown main event,
Yeah.
but for the caliber of what it was and like the build up to get here, I do think that like the only thing that I felt like going into and coming out of this match is that LA Knight just wants to make everything about him. That's kind of how I felt. Like it was like he's just trying to find some form of relevancy, or WWE are trying to find some form of relevancy for him. But I just don't really know why he ended up being involved in this match apart from petty reasons. So yeah, this one was just another oddly announced match for this this pay-per-view.
Yeah, without a doubt. So Monty, what would you give this match out of 5 then?
3 3/4.
3 3/4. Gina
3.
and Jaxie.
I give this like 3.5.
I'm going to give it a 4. Predictions, all one vision, all on one vision. And there was a hard edit after Bronson straight into Vaquera's entrance, which I guess where adverts were, but I didn't watch this live. Good for me. The Women's Champions World Championship match, Stephanie Vaquera versus Io Sky, was next. Grappling early gave way to the Gina Sky taking early control of the match, while the commentary questioned whether La Primera could defeat one of the best in the business. The former champion caught Vaquera with a springboard dropkick, then followed up with a tope suicida that flattened the Chilean-born competitor ringside. Vaquera fought back, launched herself off the ropes with consecutive cross bodies and down her opponent with a suplex. Compacted exchange rights, then transitioned into forearms. The crowd came alive as Stephanie teased the Devil's Kiss, but Sky countered with a roll up for 2. A double stomp gave way to a crossface, but Stephanie escaped. La Primera caught Sky mid-flight, blocking the over the moonsault with 2 boots to the midsection. She followed up with a second dragon screw leg whip of the match, then added the Devil's Kiss to delight the fans. Sky recovered and stopped her opponent on the top rope and then delivered a Spanish fly. Sky exposed the knees for added effect of the moonsault, but missed, driving the injured joint into the mat, and Vaquera responded with the picture-perfect spiral tap, and your new women's champion is Stephanie Vaquera. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
First of all, shout out and congrats to Stephanie Vaquera. I straight off, I'm not going to say this is the best match seen ever. I don't know whether that's just because there hasn't been that much of a build up between these two until the Crown Jewel advertisements started dropping. But I will admit that it had the crowd invested. The crowd were hyped. They really liked both women, so both women were getting both chants on both ends. I definitely feel like Stephanie was a lot more popular, and that's why I'm just grateful that she did get that win in. Have I seen greater matches from each of these ladies? Yes. So again, I don't know if it's just because right now Tiffany is just being where she needs to be. She's not really having her own storylines. So it's even like her sort of personality is kind of being brushed to the side, for me at least, you know. So again, all of my attention was more on Stephanie than it was like sort of Tiffany. But then again, I feel like I've seen Steph more. So yeah, it's kind of a catch 22. I thought it was a good match. I think that they could have advertised this, or at least put a lot more promo behind these two to maybe make it more of a hype, but I definitely feel like it didn't lack in having, you know, the crowd interested. So I don't think that it was a hindrance there. I do think the best, not the best person won, but I think the right person won the match. No offense to Tiff, but I think Stephanie is so hot right now. She should continue this hot streak.
Yeah. And again with EO there as well, you know, we talk about Jaxie EO being the most consistent wrestler in the world right now, and again putting in another banging performance, you know.
Definitely. I think that there's just a constant consistency when it comes to EO, isn't there? So I think in terms of like the caliber of it, I think both women worked well together. I do think that this is a great way to showcase someone like Stephanie, who is newly brought up to the main roster, and you know, to have a defeat over EO is a pretty big deal, considering we've just been like sort of having to deal with the after effects of Rhea still not being able to defeat Eos or like one on one, and you've got someone like Stephanie that's able to do that and overcome this sort of thing. So in that regard, I do think that this you know, went well and worked, um because both women were loved. I don't think that either way this match wasn't going to uh kind of like go down the wrong route. I think there would have been cheers for either outcome. But I do think that this was the right decision here.
Yeah, about that. And Monty, as like we said, Gina and Jackson mentioned that Stephanie is there now. She kind of carried that connection with the crowd from NXT to the main roster. She's got that aura. Do you know what I mean? And it was the right time to put the title on her.
No, yeah, 100%, 100%, 100% the right time. I think they could do so much more with her too. To be fair to Triple H and everybody, she was dealing with an illness she's talked about, so that's why she kind of went missing before the EO match and all of that, the whole thing. So we was wondering like, oh man, what kind of, man, she got a title match and they not even doing it, but she also, I think that might have been why she couldn't do that match on the card before this too, because she was dealing with a legit illness. So I'm glad she was able to, get better and then be able to still go out there in her one of her first, I think like her second match in total back from that illness to come out there and then go out there and deliver a match of this quality with the best wrestler in the world. You can make a case, in my opinion, this year. You got a case, in my opinion, for people like her. Of course, what Hangman has done and Mercedes. But the reason why, like, Cody's had a good year. It's so many great ones that we talk about all the time. Who Takeshita, the Zack Sabre Jr. You know what I mean? Who just really put in awesome matches this year. But in my opinion, you can make the case that man, woman, don't really matter where we at, Japan or not. Io Sky has been the most consistent and been the best wrestler in the world, and she makes it look effortless. And I think sometimes that effortlessness can make her not get the credit she deserves. But I think it's been cool to watch her on this run where she was champion, and even with the storytelling that she's been doing since losing her belt, it's been cool to see in different many shapes and many different ways that they've been using her. You can kind of see that she's literally probably the best wrestler in the world if you really break it down, especially when it comes to match quality on a week to week basis. And another great match for EO. And then Stephanie, like you mentioned, no one has had the run that she's had coming into it. You know, I've seen a lot of people try to say it's about her looks or it's about this, it's about that. But in my opinion, I feel like she's the total package, and they've done a good job of capitalizing. Like, yes, does her look play a factor in why I believe fans who may not know about her immediately wants to watch? But that's a part of this business. That's a big part of this business. I mean, if you think Rhea Ripley doesn't get a lot of the pop that she get, because of how unique and how different. Like that's part of it. You want to have a look that is so telling that people don't want to look away. And then when she gets in the ring and the bell ring, she's one of the best in the world easily because that's one of the reasons why they signed her. I mean, when she was wrestling Mercedes before she went to NXT, you saw in in her presentation and in what she was doing in the ring that she was one of the best, and she's done nothing but improve. And as time went on in WWE, and I'm just happy that it's worked out this way for her that she's able to get this consistent push. And I think that they're gonna have to continue to just keep building on it. And now it's time to start giving people angles and different reasons to stay invested in her as champion because as we see with like the Tiffany Strattons or whatever, you can be the total package, you can be great, but if no one have a reason to care for you, or we care more about your potential opponents than we care about you, then it doesn't matter. So hopefully they can keep this going for her because, like you mentioned, it's very hot right now for her. And it was really interesting to me too. It made me think because this was so good, but it does make me think that if Naomi was able to keep going, not that I don't think Stephanie would have won. I think you could have made the case that it was too early. You could have found a way for Naomi to get out of it and still keep the belt. But I do think I do wonder like how much time would you have had to put off for Stephanie to still be able to climb this mountain and get where she is. But in the past year, she's done nothing but win championships. So like, you
Yeah.
can't really argue with her resume, man. She's a winner, and you can't really beat that. So now I think the only thing you need to do now to make her stand out and be continue to be one of the best women, they need to continue on not only allowing her to win, but now it's time to give us some interesting angles too, along with the great matches.
Yeah. Hey, like you said, she did it in Stephanie fashion, and Wade didn't know she could do a spiral tap either. But we got to show respect afterwards. Out of five, then, Gina, what would you give it?
Just to correct myself, I read my wrong notes out. So sorry
I
about
don't want to
that.
say anything. I don't want to say anything.
You should
Spoiler
have.
alert
You
as
should
well.
have. This is why I should use different pages for my notes because I just see stuff and then I grab those notes and yeah. So apologies for that, but I will give this match a 4.
Jaxie,
Yeah, a 4.
Monty.
I gave it 4.5.
Well, yeah, I gave it a 5. Maybe I was just desperate for action at this point, but I'm going to still give it a 5. Predictions all went Steph's are all on 2. We've got CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. And Team Weaver husband CM Punk to battle World Heavyweight Championship. I just said that. I don't know why I'm repeating myself for. Rollins and Punk to find the early moments of the match with the world champion beating his rival down and isolating him for his significant other. All while Lynch added a few insulting slaps for good measure. Feeling confident, Rollins hoisted the women's Intercontinental title overhead and attempted to drop her on Punk. But the best in the world rolled out the way and Lynch crashed to the mat. Still, the Alert Hills retained control of the bout. Hubris again proved costly as Rollins mockingly skipped around the ring, only to get a GTS from Punk for his troubles. Lynch tried to prevent the tag but failed, and Lee made her pay for it. She pummeled the man to chances you still got it and added a shot or two for good measure to her husband. And Punk and Lee teamed up for a modified slice of bread number 2, then added stereo running knees, bulldogs, and shining wizard. A double submission spot saw Lee apply the Black Widow to Lynch and Punk the sharpshooter to Rollins, but the world champion raked Punk's eyes to break the moment. Lynch and Rollins, not to be outdone, delivered a double pedigree spot, could not keep their opponents down. Moments later, Lynch applied a sharpshooter to Punk to little effect as the babyface countered and applied the hold to big time Bex. The exchange of finishes continued till Lynch delivered a manhandle slam to Lee, who kicked out at the very last second. Ultimately, a computable spot left Lee with Lynch, who tried for a manhandle slam, only to find herself trapped in a Black Widow with the IC champion tapping out. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
This was great. This was a great match for AJD to get back to. The crowd right from the very get-go were all in for AJ during this match. Just the single pop that she got when she finally tagged in was just such an iconic moment. And she just really had not missed a beat. She just looked so natural back in the ring. Had great chemistry, sort of like not only with her partner, her husband, CM Punk, but also just the chemistry in the ring with Becky, even with Seth. Like, you know, the crowd were just so wild throughout this whole match, and it was fun. Um, it was like really great. I think Monty brought this up previously about how well Becky and Seth reacted to sort of like AJ's comeback in the first place. What Seth and Becky did in that match, in supporting AJ in this returning match, I just thought they all just worked brilliantly together and really well done together. I just, you know, there's so many highlight moments that I watched this match twice. I think it's a great comeback match for AJ Lee. I think it was great to see her pick up the win. And you could just tell how much she enjoyed being back, you know. I hope that this isn't the last we'll see of her this year. I want to see more. You know, they gave us a snippet, and now I'm like, can we have some more AJ Lee, please?
I mean, for the first time in 10 years, to step back and look like you haven't missed a step, you know, it was
Yeah,
quite a thing.
yeah.
Really, really good. Like we talk about Monty, you know, it's this matchup just kind of was everything that we kind of wanted here, you know, and how lucky is CM Punk? I just want to point out he's got everything, you know, he's got everything.
Yeah, I mean, he but he was lucky. He was lucky in that regard a long time ago. So it's only gotten better as he's mellowed out with age in his regard. But I think he'll be the first to tell you how lucky he is in that category. But yeah, man, this is great. I also agree. I thought it was a lot of just a very veteran match. I think you can tell Punk and Rollins and Becky too have been doing this such a long time. And AJ didn't miss a beat, but like my point is that when you are somebody who hasn't been in the ring in this long, in front of that many people, you know, it's one thing to work the ropes and do the training and work it backstage or work it with no one watching, but to go back out there and look good, and you know, this is a 30-minute match, so they was trying to showcase that she was ring ready and all of that too. They put a lot into it. That's probably my biggest critique, if I had one, was that they went so long, and like, so if you weren't, you know, they, you could tell they were kind of trying to pad certain parts of the match. But for AJ Lee's big comeback and for what it means to see her back, and for what she was able to do, I think it still did what it was meant to do. I think it served its purpose wonderfully in that regard. And it was great, like you mentioned, great to see her in just back in this thing. But like, shout out to Vicky, shout out to Sel for selling and putting over AJ. And I just think to execute the way as well as they did, you need people like Self, you need Becky, you need Punk, you need them to kind of help bring her along and allow her to look like the million bucks that she looked. Because at the end of the day, this was an AJ Lee showcase in a sense, because you know, this is all everything about it. You can tell the way the match wrapped up and the way they kind of did the finishing sequence, or even the moments where she was beating herself. They did whatever they could to try to just to really make her feel comfortable, make her feel at home, and also allow people, like I mentioned earlier, those people who may not be familiar with her out, because it's plenty. AJ Lee is a big deal. Like, she got booked, she's done stuff outside the ring since wrestling. She might be even make the case that she has become more popular in some areas than she was as a wrestler. So, so this was some people's very first time seeing her in this field, because she's been acting, she's doing other stuff. It's been sometimes first time seeing her in wrestle. So I thought they did a really good job of shining her up, making her look good. And I don't think this will be it, but I do think they're going to try to pick their spots and try to make everything make sense. You know, I'm hoping it doesn't mean we won't see her again until Women's Royal Rumble time, but I do think uh, they don't. I do think, because she, like I just mentioned, does so much outside of wrestling. I'd be surprised if they were giving she was giving up some of those obligations to be on the road with Punk 24/7 and all of that, because that'll be a big switch when you've been out of the ring for so long. But I do think she will be back. She will be doing interesting things with other people, and I don't necessarily think the stuff with Becky itself, because I do think a big one-on-one match down the line with just her and Becky is the story is already set up. They don't, you know, they don't need much to even get there. for that to work itself out. But I thought they did a good job. This was like really, really, really well done. And like I said, some very pure old school tag team, mixed tag, but it had some new wrinkles with the spots mixed in there. And I thought everybody did really good. A lot of
Yeah.
veteran, a great veteran presence like type of match because I just felt like even if it wasn't the flashiest or the craziest match, everybody did what they were supposed to do, and I think you can kind of see it reflected in the result that we got, and the way the crowd was into it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Gina, isn't wrestling strange? You know, there's some wrestlers who have changed over time, but I know AJ Lee's just come back, but CM Punk, the same character he was in WWE 10 years ago. You look how many changes Lynch and Seth has made to stay at the top. It's kind of weird. It's like, will we see changes to AJ Lee if she is going to have like a proper run, or will it kind of be a greatest hits tour, kind of like what we're seeing with Punk, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I do feel like, couples kind of reflect each other. So I would kind of see AJ just staying true to who she's been. I don't really see her kind of changing up who she has been, whether she comes back in a more full-time capacity or not. Yeah, I just don't see that happening. But I agree with you. I will admit that it has been interesting to see that like CM Punk can be the same character he was 10 years ago and still have the same pop and hype now. But both Becky and Seth have had to make several changes to their characters and their personas just to ensure that they remain on top or get on top. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not trying to cuss Becky or Seth out, because I agree with you guys in saying that they're doing some of the best work that they can at the moment. But it's just interesting how it's kind of one rule for one wrestler and one rule for another. And I wouldn't exactly say that's the company's fault or the fans' faults, but I think it's just maybe a build up of it all. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, if we had more time, maybe delve into it. It's quite an interesting kind of thing, that, yeah. Anyway, out of five, Jaxie, what would you give it?
Oh, this got a 5 for me.
Five from you, Monty
I gave it a 4.
and Gina.
4.5.
1.5. I gave it 4 3/4 predictions. We all went Punk and AJ, so we're all on 3. And then for some reason, Undertaker showed up. From the focus, Stephanie knew she's going into the Hall of Fame for some reason, and they seem to be joining themselves a bit more than I am. But again, I don't know if we've even talked about Stephanie McMahon going into the Hall of Fame or not. Uh, we might have or not. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Stephanie in the Hall of Fame?
Um, it was inevitable. She was like pinnacle to the sort of attitude era for sure, and just even aiding in sort of the rise of Triple H and as a wrestler, back then, and just everything that she contributed to and what she's doing currently now. Whether or not people will like it, love it or not, this is to be expected when you've got like people who are less deserving of a spot in the Hall of Fame. So, I'm glad it was Steph first over Shane, but yeah, it is what it is. I just felt like the whole reveal of it was awkward.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
took it took too long. Like at one point I was like, what the fuck are you doing out here? Just get to your point. What? I think even Steph was feeling really uncomfortable. I was like, just come on, get on with it.
yeah. Yeah, interesting times, I would say. Right, so it is time for the main event, which was, of course, Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, the Undisputed Championship match. Rhodes dealt with the effects of the beatdown suffered Friday early in his defense, doubling during a Cody cutter attempt and appearing to be a step off. Even when the American Nightmare did mount an offense such as a superplex from the top rope, he responded slowly, holding the back of his head. He shook it off, traded right to McIntyre, added a snap power slam for a 2 count. Back and forth action continued until McIntyre exposed a turnbuckle. With the referee's attention diverted, the challenger rolled up. The champion could not benefit from the official's count. He teased Drew McIntyre teased the Claymore through the commentary table like he did when it first began, but the referee just got in his way for some fucking reason. So then McIntyre just Claymored the announce table. Couldn't hit a Claymore in the ring, so Rose took advantage with just the one crossroads to get the victory. And I should say the main event was nearly half what the previous match was in length, you know. But I'm not going to go there. Monty, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why I said earlier that that match was that's my main critique of it was that it was too long. But honestly, I can't even really blame. I'm not gonna blame AJ now. I'm gonna blame the booking because that's kind of what happens when your first match is 10 minutes of nothing, pretty much. Just 10 minutes of wasting my goddamn time. So uh, I think sometimes some of these matches are gonna go a little longer, but it is interesting that they chose to give that one the Triple H time limit slot instead of giving instead of giving the actual WWE title match the Triple H World Title match time limit slot. Because if you know anything about Triple H's World Title matches, especially when he was on top, yeah, you guaranteeing yourself for a good 35 minutes of just
Bring
of
back the memories.
okay wrestling. Anyway, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it's very interesting to me that Drew and them couldn't even get 20 minutes, especially when it's Cody in this one. I don't know, man. This is just I really didn't. It's kind of like we mentioned this whole entire feud. It didn't feel right, even though it was a world title match, and I really was deflated because I thought initially when Drew was done with his Logan Paul humiliation tag team ritual that he had going on, that I was hoping that okay they gave him Cody next after that Super Cody display. So yeah, Drew's gonna get a legitimate, but I think they didn't. They kind of dropped the ball there, And for some reason, to me, I don't understand why they do it. And you're gonna have to answer this before I get into more about the match. Answer this for me, John. It's like why is somebody like Drew as big and as imposing as him? Why is he such a snot nosed, arrogant heel instead of trying to kill people? When in reality he's 6'5" and huge. Like he should be like other than that initial attack on Cody, he does not really intimidate or he doesn't like you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I
why
think
isn't
Triple H
Drew
hates him.
a
I
threat?
think that's the thing. That's my only. I think Triple H hates him. Even in NXT, he fucked him over with the Undisputed Era. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah,
Don't get me
good
started.
point.
But yeah,
Yeah, I don't understand. I just don't understand why somebody as big as, especially in modern day wrestling, because I get like Drew is tall, but he's also a big guy. And everybody who's ever been that guy, including Triple H himself, had eras where they were hurting people and all this stuff. But Drew has never been that type of threat. And I don't understand why they didn't try to put the fear of the kids who back Cody. Everybody should be fearful that their babyface champion like Cody is going to get hurt when he's going against a guy like Drew. But instead, Drew is the meme. I'm joking on the internet, I'm clever type of guy when he's 6'5", 280 pounds. It don't make sense. But anyway, I don't. That's my one critique, and I don't know how much of that is Drew and how much of that is that WWE just refused to make him like. Why does he book like the Miz as a heel instead of being a killer?
yeah,
But anyway, we'll move on from that. This match again, like I said, just kind of. I think that's part of why it's hard. Even when a guy like Drew, it's hard to be like, oh well, I thought Cody might not win this match. Like, it's not one time in this match. As solid as the match was, as far as wrestling goes, it wasn't really much in this match where I was like, Drew is gonna beat Cody. And I think when you book somebody like, because again, Cody's last big match before this is that Super Cena match where he kicked out of 35 finishes and all that. So you need an element that Drew could hurt him or something to kind of help, in my opinion, make Drew feel like he was a threat because as big and as bad as Drew is, I don't think he feels like a world championship level guy the way they booked him. And I think part of that goes into my thought process as I'm watching this. Now, but I don't know. Again, everything about this was just weird. The angle didn't feel like a world title match. The match itself didn't get world title type of build or length. And Cody retained, and I was at the show. I watched the show that live, and I'm just like, oh, Now again, part of me was like, was it because I had watched the AEW show that same day? But no, it wasn't just me because when I was on the internet watching it, everybody was just like, okay. So it was just like one of those things where it's like, wow, we just had a feud that's supposed to be two of the biggest stars that WWE have to offer. They just had a whole little feud, and it really just felt like one of them things where it was like, oh, give or take, okay, that was fine, move on with it. And that's kind of like my whole take on this, where it's like it's supposed to be a world title match, but I was just like, all right, that was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, Gina, if the rumors are true, then Randy Orton could maybe accost Cody, and that would have been at least something in this match. I'm not just saying it because obviously I'm a McIntyre fan, but it just was a flat main event.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought that this was the moment that Randy was gonna show up and cost Cody the match, you know. So if they weren't gonna do that here, then I just don't understand what they thought when they put together this match. Again, you usually think something big is gonna happen in the main event, whether it just be a simple title change or someone getting involved and causing an upset in the match, because there wasn't that much build up, because there wasn't anything happening in the main match itself. I just don't think it just definitely didn't work. That's all I can
I'm
say.
I completely agree. I'm going to blame Jaxie, right? Jaxie, I'm going to blame you, because like we know when you joined,
Why the
um,
fuck would you blame
but
me?
okay, so during who was the man during like the COVID era? It was McIntyre, wasn't it? You know, and then you come along, all of a sudden, Roman Reigns returns, right? We know what happens there, you know. And again,
Well,
no,
I can't.
I've got a whole thing. I've got a whole thing. You're gonna have to wait, right? So I
Oh
can't
my
think
God.
of a bigger big match loser in my life, right? Even sitting next to you when we watched him at the Clash in his home country losing, you know, he hasn't won a feud since his return to WWE. I actually checked this. Since his return 2018, hasn't won a feud, you know? Let's talk about this. Would have been fine as SmackDown referee, as a SmackDown main event. Talk about the referee. You know, got the "you suck" chant after the table spot, but you didn't even let him kick out of a crossroads. You know,
He
you've
beat
let
Jelly
Sammy
Roll. He
You've
beat
let
Jelly Roll.
Sammy be more successful since Triple H has been Booker than Drew McIntyre is. And again, as Monty pointed out, Drew should be a monster. So, Jaxie, you're the only common denominator I can think of, you know?
I have
That's all I'm saying.
no idea how that actually makes sense. If you're
You
trying
were
to say that
there.
Roman
You were
Reigns
there. You're a
continues to,
jinx.
but I didn't jinx him or anything. I may have been cheering for Roman Reigns, but do you know what? Half of everyone else was cheering for him too. So you can blame them too.
Losing to Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. I mean, you were there laughing at that. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, we were out there when it happened,
He
you know.
beat Jelly Roll though.
Oh my gosh, honestly. You're trying to like place the blame here on me, and it has
Punk lost to
nothing to
Punk
do
Hell
with
in a
me.
Cell, lost to Priest this year in this feud. Come
Yeah, it
on.
was all me. It was all me. I was whispering it in Drew's, head, saying like, you're not good enough.
What is it then? What is it? What is
Well,
it
I
with Drew?
don't know.
Why?
Why don't you ask Drew who he pissed off? Like, because that is pretty much all I can think is that someone is continuing to actually screw Drew any chance he has an opportunity. I actually have started to feel sorry for the guy, if I'm truly honest, because you know he gets put in these positions where he's just after like a big sort of title change or something along those lines, and then that leaves him no scope to build on because he's just kind of thrust into a new feud after losing the previous one. So it's like, why are you bothering to get in a feud? Because you keep just losing them.
It's true.
So
It's true.
it's
Why? Why
unfortunate.
doesn't he?
It's unfortunate and it's sad, but it's true. So that ain't on me. That's on Drew. Drew, whoever you pissed off, get some flowers, chocolate, champagne, start ass kissing, do something.
It breaks my heart when he says like, and it used to be, I just want to win a world title at WrestleMania, wherever it is, and now he wants to walk out after winning the world championship to a crowd. Now that's his wish. Do you know what I mean? He just 24 hours he wants.
Well, I mean, I think you're the only one playing the violin for him now, James.
Ah, Well, I'm just saying, I'm not the only one. McIntyre strong. Right, so scores out of 5. Then Monty, what would you give it?
3 3/4.
3 3/4. Gina,
3.5.
3.5. Jaxie,
Yeah, 3.5.
I'm going to give it 4.5 because Drew McIntyre was in it. Predictions, we want Cody. So the final scores, we all finish on 4. Wow, a win all round, a grand slam, as they called it, guys. So well done, each and every one of you. WW, I'm so pleased. I'm still on 5. Jaxie Gina stuck on 7. Monty on 9. And again, I don't want to cause any friction here, but I know Monty's in the lead, but it's the fight between Jaxie and Gina on 7 as we head to a couple of shows left. I think we should really be looking at. That would be interesting. Overall, thanks to the women's division, this PLE didn't suck balls, but it just got teabagged. I think that's my general review of this show. Monty, we'll start with you. Who's your MVP and what was your rating out of 10? Because I believe your match was Stephanie.
Yeah. Uh, MVP is probably AJ and Stephanie, but I lean towards Stephanie because this is her crowning achievement. First Chilean born champion, so she's made history. Like she mentioned, her family was there. So if it's one thing, even though this pay per view is horribly named, Indiana sucks. I think I got that out the way earlier,
Yeah, I think you covered
and
that. Yeah.
it has nothing. Doesn't have a lot to be remember positively about. But AJ and Stephanie are probably the only people in the world who will look back and say WrestlePalooza. That was a good time. So yeah, that's my takeaway. My review, my score. I don't have a good score for it. Again, for Stephanie and EO because they did great, and then again for AJ, I can't go lower than a 7, so I'm gonna still leave it right at 7 because everything else, including my guy Cody and Drew, was yeah, it was passable, and then one thing was shit, and then and everything else was like okay, well the Uso match could have been on Raw. So yeah, when you got shit, and then you got great, and then you got passable, it's just like, all right, that sounds like a 7 to me. So yeah, that's kind of where I leave it when it comes to that. But MVP is Steph, and like I said, you gotta show honorable mention or some love to AJ.
That's how I aim to do the podcast. You know what I mean? It's weird. Some of it will be good, so some of it will be shit, but it will be passable.
Yeah.
Jaxie, who's your MVP and what is your rating? Your match was the mixed tag.
Yeah, match mixed tag. I'm gonna have to give joint MVP to Stephanie and AJ. I do agree. I want to fully give it to Steph in terms of the achievement that she had. But I mean, again, the younger inner teenager that watched AJ Lee growing up, this was such an iconic moment to see her return and just in such great form. So that match really excited me, and just having her back there. So I have to give them both MVP. I think I still agree with Monty though. I think if it wasn't for these two matches, this pay-per-view event was not pay-per-view worthy. So I'm gonna give it a 7, just like Monty, and that is literally the saving grace is Stefan and AJ. That has made it a 7.
Gina, who's your MVP, your rating, and your match again was the mixed tag.
Yeah, I'll give the mixed tag my match. I'm gonna have to also be the same. MVP is both gonna be Stephanie and AJ, and I think a 7 is fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Steph and AJ. Match was obviously the women's title match for me. I'm gonna give it an 8. But if anybody knows my ratings, my 8 is like a 7. All right. Anyway, post show, Joe Test, Biggie, and that Tyrese fella from earlier with Peter Robertsburg, Heyman and the Bronze joined the panel. It was the first time you could see a mesh wall behind the desk. This would become important later. Bron was very happy. He was having a go at a fat, disgusting man. Paul apologized to the lady and said Brock is here to make children cry. That I do believe. Punk and AJ was next. The hug with Big E was quite lovely. And Jaxie, it's weird, isn't it, sometimes with wrestling, how it comes around with Big E and AJ used to be with Dolph Ziggler and now together on the post-show panel. You know, it was a moment, even though AJ didn't forgive Big E.
No, I get you. But it is a lovely, like, sort of like reunion moment that just probably doesn't mean much to those that never watched that time, but just for those that did, that's probably an extra special moment, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. Punk seemed banged up, but he was happy about AJ, and AJ said the locker room is her offspring, which you can't really argue. Cody came out, and Punk gave him a hug. Cody threw his hat to the crowd, which never reached them as the mesh was in the way. And Monty, what you said, I guess it's just because the people in Indianapolis are pretty dirty people, and that's why you needed a screen, I assume.
Yes, they all stink.
Yeah, good. We're going to get some complaints, I'll tell you. But don't worry. He said Drew is a real deal, but there was no one more qualified than him to be the quarterback. Seth showed up to go face-to-face with Cody. And then we got Triple H wearing a leather jacket. He blahs on a bit. He said Cena is in his final run and Brock is still Brock. And he confirms Crown Jewel will be champ versus champ.
No, you know what that means, right? That means
Brock
coming back, unfortunately.
Screw Brock. Like, honestly, like, there was no explanation for any of this shit in the first place. Like go away again. That's my own.
No, you're gonna take it, okay?
I don't fucking want to, Monty. I don't want to, okay?
You gotta watch.
Stop shoving Brock down on our throats. No one wants it.
You do not have a choice, unfortunately. Which is okay. I'm not gonna make the joke I was gonna make. But yeah, you don't have a choice.
Yeah. We'll move on. That's what she said. We'll move on to Raw. Move on to Raw. Cody started the show, soon followed by Rollins. Seth asks what Cody thinks of him. What do I think of you? You changed my life, man. That was my Cody Rhodes. But you like that, didn't you? He credited his Shield for validating his career by helping him get the W title on his shoulder. Seth told Cody he's not his quarterback. Rollins called himself the Alpha, but Rhodes reminded him that he has a 3-0 record against him. And just like that, Gina, we don't even have 24 hours to catch our breath. And we're already on to the next show of Crown Jewel, Seth Rollins versus Cody. And it would seem like a big deal if it wasn't just like, can you just give us a rest? Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking on mute. Yeah, no, I get you. I totally agree there. And it's definitely like one of those moments where you're just like, okay, get to the point. It takes so long sometimes for even both of mans to come out that you actually forget what they're coming out for because you're just too busy taking in their entrance.
I can't wait for it. Penta and the War Raiders beat the New Day and Big G in a fun no DQ match. We got a Vaquera promo that Pereira credited the fan support of her as well as unwavering hard work and desire for a win. She credited her dad for being her greatest role model and vowed my fire will keep making history and nobody, and I say nobody, can stop me. And Jaxie, again, I know you weren't in deep with us in that NXT run, but like I said, Stephanie, as we mentioned, is just kind of got it, you know, and again, even with her promos, and she talks about the broken English, but it's just everything is working at this moment in time, and you can get behind her.
She's got this certain charm about her that, you know, you can tell she really is trying to do her best to communicate herself to you know, well to the crowd and the audience, but you know, also not losing her sense of self and, you know, like where she's from. So I feel like she's just quite authentic, and I love to see to not see her put on an act, but just be herself. So I think it just truly comes across that way.
Yeah, it does. We saw Rusev beating JD with Dom frozen in fear, not helping his teammate as he watched. And when Rusev refused to relinquish his hold, Finn Balor made the save and criticised the IT champion, failing to look after his friend. It's probably the best Finn Balor has looked in a couple of years. I'm not going to lie, like having the no fear to go against Rusev at that point. Anyway, Lyra was in Bayley's corner for a match versus Rox. Bayley won. Afterwards, Lyra excitedly congratulated Bayley, who appeared cold, and shoved the former women's IC champion to the mat. Think you can hug me? Do you know who I am? The Prodigy has tied LA Knight for the most matches in 2025 with 38 televised bouts. Knight would move ahead when he faced Jey Uso. Jimmy wanted the bronze, but Jey had already got the match book, and the Visions from Breaker and Bronson Reed appeared, provided a distraction that Uso capitalized on, delivering a spear and his trademark splash for the win. We also got Bate and Dunn are now the Americanos. Monty, why are they doing this to me? Like, why are they doing it? Is this a dig? Do you know what I mean? Like, why is Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne like this for? What's going on? What are they doing?
It's kind of like a version of what I just told Jaxie. Is like he's telling all the British fans, not only am I taking NXT UK from you, you're gonna take whatever I give you, you British strong style. You think I care about you? You think I care about you? Little guys representing the UK, you get in this mask and you do what I say do. And all you UK fans, watch it. You have no choice but to watch. I'm gonna make you watch it.
God.
Yeah, that's what Triple H is doing to you.
Yeah.
Enjoy, James.
I'm not going to take it to heart. The greatest British wrestlers of their generation getting fucking wasted. Anyway, we move on to the main event. Rhea Ripley versus Oscar. This was a great match. Rhea sent the Kabuki Warriors crashing into each other and rolled Oscar up for the pin. But afterwards, the loser blinded Ripley with the blue mist and again ordered Sane to attack. This time she did. And the 2-on-1 beatdown ensued until Io Sky made the save. She tried to talk sense into Oscar, but after a feigned hug at a nasty spinning back fist, Sane hesitantly attacked Sky, and the Hills left the former Women's World Champions lying to close out the show. There was a lot of mist on Ripley, I'm not going to lie. But Gina, this was a big story development, and even more surprising, it was in the main event. Like, it's actually treated with some respect.
Yeah, definitely. This was so exciting to see, and there was a lot of blue mist everywhere. I honest to God, some of the memes that Asuka was coming out with on her social media after the fact with all the Smurf memes, it was just brilliant. If you haven't checked out Asuka's social media, please do, because it's worth seeing. But yeah, it's just more great stuff coming from Asuka and the women's side, and I'm so glad they got the main event because they deserved it at this moment in time. I'm most invested in this storyline for this show at the moment. So yeah,
really good stuff. Smackdown, Booker T replaced Corey. Heyman started the show, soon followed by Cody, and they want to know if he was talking to the Advocate, Wiseman, or the Oracle. The Bronze arrived and a fight broke out, but Randy Orton made the save. Mello Don't Miz came up short versus the Street Profits. Zaruka want a tag opportunity. I mean, how many belts does Soul want? Monty, isn't two enough? Fuck me. It's a bit, come on, Soul. Give space for other women. Julia and Kiana James beat B-Fab and Me Chin. McIntyre showed up with a medical boot. Drew doesn't blame the ref. I do. He talked about corruption. Nick Aldis disrespected him. And then Jacob Fatu returned. So he's got another feud to lose. Someone else to pass him on the ladder. I mean, come on. Did anybody feel sorry for Drew here and just think, are they taking the piss out of him? Honestly, did anybody think that?
Once again, James.
Piss someone off. I told you, he pissed someone off.
You're going to have to watch it, James. Yeah, we're gonna make you watch him lose to every single person we can find.
I don't know. I don't want this.
It's a personal screw you. I think at this point Triple H listens to this show and he's like, "What can I do to get James to leave us and watch AEW more? I'm gonna embarrass everything he loves."
It was come on, man. Whenever you seen that, that is just fucking crazy. Javon Evans answers Sami Zayn's US Open challenge, and this boy is bouncy, but Sami retained. Gina, what did you think of Javon Evans? We've seen him in NXT, obviously, but he looks main roster ready.
Yeah, I will admit that I would be excited to see him on the main roster. I don't watch NXT often, but every time I do and I see this guy, he always kind of stays in my mind. So I definitely think he could come up to the main roster and do something. I just hope that he doesn't get the Carmelo treatment.
Yeah, right down. The main event was the women's title triple threat. Tiffany versus Nia versus Cargill. Cargill hooked Jade, but Jax pulled out the ref. Nia sent Jade into the steps and busted her just above the eyebrow. It got worse as Daphne Shawn didn't count the 3 on Jax, or should have Nia kicked out? Don't know. Fuck the botch. And why did Tiff and Jade both wear red and look like tag team partners? Come on. With Vakor facing off afterwards. Jaxie, this was a mess, you know, and there's again, I can understand accidents, but like the shit towards Nia Jax or shit towards, it's just sometimes it happens, you know.
I mean, to be honest, I don't even like want to kind of like identify who was at fault, because I just think that everyone, including the ref, was just not aware of what was going on in that situation. It was just completely awkward and just one of the biggest blunders of the year, I would say, because it just everything looked awkward. So yeah, I can't say much else apart from like that it was a shit show,
I
like
don't
you
even
said.
know whose fault it was.
No,
Like
exactly. I don't.
I don't think
Like,
you can.
the referee obviously counted to 3, didn't she? But you got to count it after a while, and
It's just, but how though? Like that, yeah, like the you could just ask all the questions in the world, and I don't know if there was like an audible that they had to pull or something, and for what reason, but it just was messy. So that's all I could say.
it really was. On to Raw. Ripley started the show and she was pissed with the Kabuki Warriors. Io arrived looking sad. Says they are a family and she still loves them. Bless her heart. I think we have finally found a way for Oscar to do promos, which is subtitles in a mix between English and Japanese. Why has it taken so long? Fuck knows. Oscar said it's too late for Ripley. They attacked her from behind. Io made the save but got misted for her troubles. The Kabuki Warriors stood tall. And Monty, again, we talk about the nuance between Oscar and Io. Why didn't medical help Io to an hour later after she was misted? I think that is the issue here. Do you know what I mean? Like, check on her straight away. Don't leave it an hour.
Didn't
God
Punk have
damn it.
a lawsuit against WWE Medical? I thought they got that together after Punk went to
You would
court or
think.
something.
Especially him
Anyway,
being around.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Have a talk
back.
with
You
Phil.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, Phil will help. He knows WWE Medical is incompetent. No. Anyway, yeah, man, this the nuance is great. You know, like it's been said out there, but I love the take Oscar kind of has taken on like her and I don't even think a lot. The beautiful thing to me about it is that I don't think a big chunk of the audience or the American audience or who people who are not familiar with Japanese especially wrestling, but just like senpai culture, like or like teacher student type culture or elder culture in Japan, you may not even get all the nuances of what Oscar is doing. And Oscar was a young wrestler in her back in the day when she kind of went against that type of you kind of got to do whatever the elder tells you to do. So to kind of see her turn into that against the EO and Kyrie and kind of use her the fact that she was the one that broke through in WWE first. She's using it as her tool to kind of control, especially Kyrie in a sense, but even EO like, oh, EO, so you don't want to do what I say? Oh, you don't need my help all of a sudden. And it's a great crazed take on something that's very real that happens in Japanese culture and has happened to wrestlers in of the Joshi system or even in male Japanese wrestling. A lot it's a lot of stories out there of older Japanese wrestlers taking things out on younger talent and stunning the growth of younger talent because of their ego. So I just love all of those elements that's intertwined with the obvious of Oscars just being abusive and kind of just the way she's going about it. But I honestly think that they really have something here with Oscar, like you mentioned with the formula of getting her to do promo. I think now the only thing you really can do now is try to get them to get more victories and become even more of a threat going forward. I would love Oscar to continue on this road because I think when Naomi left, we lost a very interesting heel character. And I think when you have people like Rhea, we have Io, and then even with Stephanie being on top of that division right now, and we know Judgment Day is just basically waiting on Liv Morgan to kind of fill that void that we kind of have right now. Oscar has been doing a great job of stepping into that villain role, and I think they can do so much more with her. Even though I love everything they're doing so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. And speaking of something really interesting, again, talking about the Oscar development, Dominic Mysterio shown that his babyface run will be legendary. He defended against Rusev and had to resort to Eddie Guerrero tactics to retain the title. But Gina, again, this was really good stuff because it's another side to Dom, and the crowd are just waiting to love him, you know?
Oh, 100%. It's like every match that Dom is in, you see more and more Eddie in him. And the more Eddie fans see in him, the more love they're going to have for him, basically. So that babyface run is so imminent, is unreal. If it hasn't already subtly started now, then yeah, it's definitely on its way.
Yeah, exactly. And even beating Rusev was quite a nice surprise. There was a botch in the Bailey Raquel match. Let's slate them both. Rox helped Raquel get the win. Lyra helped the hugger, who lost her shit on the hills. LA Knight beat Kofi. Both deserve better. We got another Seth and Cody promo with Rhodes referencing WrestleMania 40 and how they're friends, but he would beat him at Crown Jewel. Rayo and Bravo, Los Americanos, battled the Phenomenal One and Dragon Lee. I'm going to cry in tag team action, which they lost. In AJ Styles news, he will face John Cena at Crown Jewel. And he also said in an interview he will retire next year. I mean, Jaxie, you know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, AJ. Like, don't just bring us you're going to retire next year, even though he's kind of talked about it. But again,
Yeah.
the John Cena match being made for Crown Jewel, not on Raw and SmackDown. What's the point of watching fucking Raw and SmackDown then?
I mean, I don't know. I think this was long overdue, but it's just ridiculous at how long it like how it took, like how it came about. This is more because of John than it is because of creative. So
Yeah.
yeah, like it's a bit of a. I think for me though, I'm grateful to see like AJ be pushed like this, but this for me, I'm like, you know, this just goes to show you that you should be doing more with AJ and you're not. So like if he is like, kind of like setting that down the rumors of potential retirement, then WWE have squandered and wasted him.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because like you said, Cena's tweeting out, I would love to face AJ Styles. Styles like, I'd love to have a match with you. And Triple H like, yes, I have made this match. And it's like, you
Yeah,
didn't do
like no,
anything.
you didn't. You didn't do shit. John did it because let's face it, you need to give John what he wants because you fucked up the very beginning of his retirement year.
No,
Triple H.
obviously Triple H held a gun to both of their heads, made them tweet that out, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
made the match.
Oh, of
Like
course,
he
yeah.
obviously did it. Nothing happened
Yeah,
in
That's
of
WWE
course.
without Triple H's approval. You
that's
guys
why we're
know that
enjoying the
by now.
ride. We're enjoying the ride, man.
Yeah.
Like he says,
Right.
this is all planned. He
Hasn't
knew
Michael
he was
Cole
going to book
told you
this
that he
match on
wouldn't be here
Twitter.
without Triple H? What is
Yeah,
wrong with you
yeah,
guys?
yeah,
Jesus. Thank you,
yeah.
Paul
Anyway,
Levesque.
the never-ending rivalry between the Usos and the Vision wrote its latest chapter in the main event of Raw in a Tornado tag team match. Dominic Hills downed them and stacked them, praying for the win when Roman Reigns' music played and the Tribal Chief made his shocking return. The OTC unloaded on Breaker Reed with a steel chair, setting up the Usos for the victory with a bloodline, beating down the Hills. For Reigns told Uso the show is his run to and rule, all while Jimmy hesitantly looked on in the background. Again, Gina, it's nice. Like Jimmy's just like, oh, I'm not sure about this, and with Uso. But there's a crazy fact where I think Roman's had as many returns as matches this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the biggest fan of the Bloodline and Roman and the Usos, but I'm just kind of confused at the moment. Like, we had them obviously united in the Bloodline for a very long time, and then they've all split off. And we're still dealing with the remnants of them splitting off, Solo creating his own family. And so it looked like that with the storyline that they were all kind of coming back together, at least, the Usos and Roman, the original three who started this all. But why does it still feel like they're not on the same page? I don't get it. Why are you not still on the same page now? If you're coming back together, you should fully come back together. If you're not getting along, then just stay apart. You know, I kind of feel like I sound like my mum now when my mum's having a go at me and my sisters, telling us all to stay apart if we can't get along, sort of thing. But it's just confusing me a little bit because I'm like, make a decision now, Bloodline. Are you going to trust each other or not? Because if you're not, then there's no hope for any other families out there. Just saying.
That's an excellent point. On to SmackDown, Cody started the show, soon followed by Heyman and the two Bronze. Orton had Rose back. This led to a tag team main event where Seth cost Orton, but Cody's left Rollins laying. Mello wanted Sammy again, but got attacked by Miz. I guess Miz don't mellow. Alistair Black accepted instead, but Priest proved distraction as Zayn retained, and then Damien put him through an announce table. Zaruka faced Green and Fire. We got Stephanie Vaquero and Stratton signing a contract for Crown Jewel. Giovanna Ray Phoenix beat Los Garzas. And then there was news that Santos Escobar had left WWE, but now he's returned. So don't worry about it, Jaxie. I won't ask you, because I was going to say, you know, what do you think of Santos? But he's back apparently, so that'll work out.
That was so funny because of like it was just consecutively. I swear it was like a day, one day after the next. You know, oh he's gone. Oh no, he just resigned. I was like, wait, am I going mad? Did I misread something before? I felt like I was going a little bit insane, to be honest. But I was like, right, okay. Again, I want to be excited for Santos, but given how stacked their current lucha division is right now, and they're still not like sitting on like and wasting their talent, I don't see much change in store for Santos at this point. Again, you know, like I'm just going to reiterate what I said before when it comes to you've got Ray Fenix and and Penta both on different like ones that both are Raw, one on SmackDown, and yet you haven't put them together to solidify them as a tag team, knowing what they've done in AEW, knowing like, you know, that they could really spice up like even the Raw side of the tag team division. They're sitting on Lucha Gold at the moment and doing like the bare minimum with it. So do I have much luck that Santos is going to get a push over someone like El Americano? No, I don't.
That's true. Right, so final Raw then. Roman started the show, soon interrupted by Heyman and Reed. They challenged Reigns at Crown Jewel in an Australian street fight. Ooh. Reigns hit a Superman punch to Reed, and that was basically it. What was more surprising is Maxine Dupree putting in a career best performance versus Lynch. I mean, Becky lost on a count out, but even still, this was really, really good stuff.
That was so great by Maxine. Best she's looked.
Isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, even I was surprised. I was like, maybe you have been working with Talia.
I mean, yeah, fair enough then.
Yeah. Rocks beat Lyra. EF Sky faced Kari Sane. Interference from Oscar allows Sane to score the pinfall victory over a friend. Still reluctant, Sane delivered a vicious back fist and insane elbow to Sky and to delight Oscars as the Kabuki Warriors built momentum entering Crown Jewel. Styles, Penta and Lee defeated the Judgment Day. We got a CM Punk promo. He told Cody he would stay out of his business. LA Knight arrived. The megastar told Punk he has never lost to Rollins, and the best in the world responded by reminding him he's never been world champion either. Jey Uso interrupted, heeding his cousin's advice from earlier in the show, and came face to face with the prospective number one contenders. He threw down his claim to the world title. Jimmy Uso hit the ring, allowing Jey to rock Knight with a super kick. After a few more words from Punk denouncing the former world champion's new attitude, Punk took Jey down and a super hit from Jimmy to close out the segment. I suppose it's interesting, Monty, isn't it? Like, I don't think we're ever going to get like a CM Punk LA Knight match, but you know, especially with Jey Uso involved.
Yeah, I love the Jey Uso element because I think that's kind of like the reason why they not on the same page is because they got different interests aligned. Roman's interest is still kind of confusing. I think that's probably the most confusing part. But obviously, Jimmy wanted everybody to get back together, especially him and his brother. He wanted to get on the same page, but at the same time, Jimmy wants them to do things. Seemingly, he wants them to do things the right way. And I think that's kind of the problem is where it's like Roman is getting cheered, but do he seems any different to anybody? No, not really. He's not really changing his mentality, at least so far. And he's done a good job of getting in Jay's head, but it's not. Everybody keeps saying Roman has made Jay do this, and it is true. Roman is talking to him in that way, but like I mentioned before, the reason why I love Jay Uso and the reason why Oscar and Jay has been some of my favorite TV to watch is because of how much sense it all makes. Because I go all the way back to that promo of when Jay Uso was World Heavyweight Champion, right before he had defend his world title against Gunther, and he was exhausted, and Gunther came to him right before the match and straight up told him, he said, you done your best to try to be a legitimate champion, but you'll never be on top as long as you keep, being everybody's best friend, and if you go back to his run, we talked about it. His entire run ended up basically being him trying to save other people all the way up until he lost the belt. And Roman basically was telling him the same thing. You will never be on top being everybody's best friend and all that. You have to go your own route. You have to, you know, again, like Jimmy's not wrong. He is being more like Roman, but in Roman's mind, he's told him that that's the way to do it. So, I love this element, just like when I love the promo on him and Cody, and he's just staring at Cody's belt. And I liked him taking the fight to Punk in LA, or at least bringing attitude towards them. And I love Punk's response. Punk is 100% right. People like Jay Uso, we don't want you to be Lil Roman. That's a great angle. But in Jay's mind, the only way he'll ever get back to the top is if he is more like Roman, because he's looking at it from a perspective of now. I love how they're telling the story, and I love when wrestling do this. The best stories, in my opinion, is when you can point out when the world title has kind of corrupted a wrestler's brain. And I think if they smart about it and continue to tell the story, you can kind of see that Jey Uso's mind, yes, it's Roman, but being a world champion is what really has made Jey different, in my opinion. I think he's fiending to get back to that spot, and he's not getting there being a good guy. And I think now is like, what's going to happen? Is Jimmy, if they're going to leave Jimmy behind again, or is Jimmy going to get to a point to where it's like, you know what? Maybe I should go out for my own, or like, what's going to happen? That's the interesting thing. It's like, do they decide to play the element and just go back to what we're used to, or do Jimmy get motivated and try to get his own singles goal? It's very interesting dynamic, in my opinion, in that regard. But as far, I think when I look at this segment, my only thing is where I'm like, I like, damn, poor LA Knight. Like, he's here, and I just feel like he's the least interesting. Like, we know where Punk is. We know the end goal most likely is Punk is going to be in a situation with Self where he's going to either dethrone him, or he's definitely going to get revenge at some point. And then, like I said, I just told you all the interesting stuff we can do with Jay going forward. But LA Knight is like, oh, LA Knight's still there. You know what I mean? It's just like what poor LA Knight, because I don't see him becoming world champion anytime soon with his current trajectory, and that's kind of the sad part.
Yeah, but as we mentioned as well, we talk about bloodline. Everybody thinks Roman's story, but Jey Uso, it might be his story, to tell at the end of the day, which would be
right.
An interesting thing. Anyway, last bit of Raw. The Oracle said at some point he would have to ask himself why he chose Rollins instead of Roman Reigns if Seth was to lose to Cody at Crown Jewel. And speaking of the Tribal Chief, he surveyed a disagreement between Jay and Jimmy. Like I said, we've taken exception to his brother interrupting him during his promo segment and accused him of protecting Punk. Jay stomped off, leaving Reigns to warn Jimmy that when his brother won the world title, it became more like the OTC and less like Jimmy. Sometimes the best way to help him is to get out of his way. This led to the main event, which was Usos versus Punk and Knight. And Jay helped the momentum, delivering a spear to Punk. Best in the world recovered low and flattened him with a go to sleep. Instead of making the cover, Knight tagged himself in and stole the victory for his teammate, which again was an interesting way to wrap up Raw. Because as we mentioned, Gina, it doesn't look like LA Knight is going to get a world title run soon. But gosh darn, he's trying, and it's weird again to see the Usos used talk about differently as well.
Yeah, definitely. I feel for LA Knight, but the thing is, at least he's still being featured in main storylines. At least he's getting paid. So that's the main thing I'll give to him. But no, I don't see a future title run for him at this point in time. It's just not looking on the cards. He seems to just be in the way at this point, in the nicest way possible. So yeah, at this moment, it's not his year. Hopefully, maybe next year he would have earned it by taking so many L's this year. But we'll see, because we never know what WWE like to do.
Exactly, and I think it's a perfect place to leave it before they go to Australia for Smackdown, which we'll be covering, of course, in a couple of weeks' time. Before we do, Jaxie, what are your thoughts on WWE? I know it's been one of the worst, I think, PLEs we've ever covered, but heading into Crown Jewel, what are your thoughts on the product?
My thoughts are that like there needs to be sort of a change up, and I don't mean in terms of their current champions. It's more like a change up of creative, and like just kind of their overall sort of bookings. I just think that there's just been a serious amount of negligence when it comes to building storylines that actually make sense and give reason for matches to be put on pay-per-views, not just because. So I think like the main giveaway that I have right now is that going into Crown Jewel and the last half of the year with WWE, there needs to be a change in the way that they uh you know put storylines together, but also give way to those who are champions again to actually have a decent amount of time on Raws and SmackDowns and not just their opponents. Because that's what I'm finding lately is there's a consistency in the champions wrestling less on Raw and SmackDowns or being even shown less, you know, compared unless you're like the world women's champion or the men's champion. But even with Tiffany, she's been kind of like nowhere to be seen. So it's just kind of like some sort of consistency when it comes to showcasing the division and who they're pushing. Because it's just been getting a bit tiresome, really.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. We'll see what happens at Crown Jewel, but that is it for now. Don't forget, across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. But Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
I'm across Instagram, Twitch, and X at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Monty.
At my Monty Pod on Twitter.
And finally, Gina.
Instagram, Twitch, and X at Purple Pain.
Go hit the WNR also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email to WNRpodcast at gmail.com and YouTube, the WNR Podcast, celebrating 10 years of the WNR with shorts, universe mode, and clips from any event we go to. We hit 100,000 views in September. So if we can keep that up, then, we can be millionaires pretty soon. The podcast is also live on YouTube, also on SoundCloud, on your phone, and Spotify and iTunes. We can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. Our next episode is NXT No Mercy and Bound for Glory, apparently. I've got to watch them first. But until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thanks for joining me, Jaxie.
It's been fun, as always. I look forward to the next one.
And, of course, the mind of Monty as well. Thanks for joining me, Monty.
No problem.
And, of course, the genius of Gina. Gina, just thank you for being you, all right?
Always, James, always.
Well, that is it.